Hi guys, making this video, it's all about two cases this year which I've covered on social media. You might not be aware of these cases, hence I'm making the video to expose what's going on. So the first case, and these are similar cases, again that's why I'm making the videos, they are sort of married up to each other. So the first case I'm going to start with is from the Leicester Mercury. I'm going to start with the headline: lenient sentence for teenage asylum seeker caught with knife who wants to leave Leicester. Mullah Mukhtar had the knife as he was trying to get into a Leicester nightclub. An 18-year-old asylum seeker caught trying to get into a nightclub with a knife has got away without any punishment because he wants to leave Leicester and go back home to Sudan. Mullah Mukhtar was in a queue for the basement in Wellington Street, Leicester, when a security search revealed a kitchen knife wrapped in bubble wrap inside his jacket. He was denied access and a description of him was given to the police. The police tracked him down, and when he was arrested he told the officers he only had the knife on him because the day before he was using a knife to cut up fruit to eat. Well, like I said, if you believe that, you believe anything. So basically he pleaded guilty to possessing a blade in public without lawful excuse. While adults caught with knives can expect 6 months or an immediate custodial sentence, the magistrate was told not only was Mukhtar due to be deported, but was only 17 at the time of the offence. Again, that magic number 17. They agreed to give Mukhtar, who came to the UK from Sudan 2 years ago, a conditional discharge so that he could be sent home. The chair of the bench then said, "This is a serious charge here in the UK, and normally in an adult court you would be probably looking at custody. We've decided in this situation we're going to give you a conditional discharge. You're not being punished today for this because we do not want to tie your hands of your repatriation to Sudan." Raspal Singh, representing Mukhtar, said he had come to the UK as a youth seeking asylum but was now hoping to go back home. He said he has decided to withdraw his claim for asylum. He wants to be deported. He wants to return to Sudan and doesn't want to stay in this country. The Home Office was waiting for the outcome of his hearing before booking his flight. He said it would be a matter of days rather than weeks before his client would be flown home. And that's the end of the article. I do not believe that for a minute. I just think it was rolled out as like I said, it's a new sort of defence that some of these people are pushing out. Mr. Mukhtar will still be in this country as we speak now while I'm making this video, and I expect him to be still in this country in the next year, the year after, and the year after that. There's no way that this young man is wanting to go back to Sudan, especially like he said, he's now lived in this country for some time now, and I just think it's just a phony excuse for him not going to prison. Comment sections. I'll just read this one up here, for example. So he wants to go back to Sudan, yet he was queuing up to visit a Leicester nightclub and queuing up with a knife in his pocket that he'd said he'd used to cut up fruit. What kind of fruit? Wonder how many nightclubs there are in Sudan. His whole story stinks to high heaven. I don't think we've seen the last of this slivery individual. And that for me sums it up. I don't have to go through the rest of the comment section, but that is how I felt when I initially saw the story. Again, it's this sort of, let's push this defence out. He's an asylum seeker, refugee, however they want to reference him, illegal, and they have a little bit of sympathy, so we'll let him off. And again, that magic number 17 again. So I don't think we've heard the last of this particular individual. Only time will tell. So I'm now going to go on to the next story. So this is the next story I'm going to be talking about. The thing what caught my attention about this particular story was the fact that the Daily Mirror and the Daily Mail refused to actually call him out as an asylum seeker or as an illegal immigrant. They actually referenced to this particular individual as a migrant or an immigrant, which I found quite disturbing, to be honest with you. We all know why they've done that, but that's what caught my attention to this particular story, why they sort of, the wording they were using rather than using the wording asylum seeker. So I will be quoting from the Daily Mirror, then I'll add a little piece at the end from myself. Migrant stabs student in random attack so he can be deported back to homeland. Rabiz Mohammed, who entered Britain illegally, was jailed for 6 years after stabbing a university student in an attempt to be sent back home to Iraq. The 28-year-old man pounced on his random victim in a park after initially engaging him in conversation about kickboxing. Moments later, Rabiz Mohammed pulled out a kitchen knife and stabbed university student, 18-year-old, Ellis Wheeler in the back, causing life-threatening injuries. Mohammed appeared before a judge at Southampton Crown Court following an attack in the City Park where he was jailed for 6 years and ordered to serve another 4 on licence. Mr Wheeler ran away but lost consciousness, with a friend calling 999 and putting pressure on his wound until officers and paramedics arrived. He was taken to hospital and underwent surgery for a collapsed lung and remained under observation for several days. Mohammed was arrested at the park and later told police he stabbed Mr Wheeler in order to be arrested and deported back home. Prosecutor Andrew Houston said Mohammed knew he had done something to be deported and had spoken to people who knew the immigration system. He had previously been cautioned for criminal damage and battery in May 2022 and was jailed for 12 weeks for racially aggravated harassment and stalking. Defence barrister Richard Toote said his client had come to the UK illegally via a boat and had been making what efforts he could to be deported, but had no work and no money, and he was living in a hotel in Bournemouth. Mr Toote went on to say he believed from what he had been told that he needed to commit an offence that was serious enough. He presents as a very naive person. He has experienced remorse, at least some sorrow. Sentencing him, Judge Brian Foster said, when anyone carries out an attack with a knife, it is down to chance that this was an indiscriminate attack. Any member of our community could have been the victim. You were willing to inflict a serious injury with a weapon to achieve your end. You could have killed the victim. And that's it from the Daily Mirror. But when you go on to a little bit more about this story, they say it was a random attack. And again, I think there's a little bit more to this. I'm not saying this particular individual or the victim, the young man, the 18-year-old man, was picked out. But it doesn't go into say why was he picked out. Was he picked out because of a particular reason? So as a defence, they're actually saying that Mohammed stabbed this man so he could be deported from the UK back to Iraq, and it's ludicrous to think that. It's just anybody believes that believes anything. That's why his motivation was to actually stab somebody. It'd previously been done on 2 occasions. He said he actually served a prison sentence, and they still weren't deported then. So again, you've got to question this again. I don't think this guy obviously is genuine. I just think this was pushed out as a defence. As we've seen with the Leicester case, it worked there. I'm not saying it would have worked here, but to actually think that this particular individual did it so that it would be deported, I just don't believe. I really don't, and I just think it was pushed out as a defence. What's to say it was sort of terrorist related, this particular incident? And again, you've got to question why this person again was allowed. He doesn't allude to it. The 2 articles what I've read, it doesn't allude to him being an asylum seeker or anything. It's really strange that are illegal. They're quoting from maybe from the actual court records as in being an immigrant or a migrant. So, but he came here illegally and has gone on to commit some serious crimes, and he still hasn't been deported. Like he said, I haven't serving 12 weeks for the previous crime, and then he's gone on to stab somebody. Could have easily killed him. And the actual sentencing again, it was just ludicrous what he's actually been sentenced for. What is the attack? He could have actually killed this man. It's like virtually attempted murder. And if the guy hadn't escaped or his friend hadn't have helped him, because that's what happened, he might have died. And we could be looking at another particular case. But I just find it again, I'm repeating myself, that the actual fact they didn't use the word in asylum seeker, and you got to question that. Do you know what I mean? So this is a case what might have gone under the radar. I imagine other people have seen it, but a lot of people hadn't have seen this case or hadn't seen this case because they just looked at the headline and might feel it's not asylum seekers. Once you sort of link up the asylum seeker, if they said Iraqi asylum seeker 28 stabbed university student in park in broad daylight, it'd catch your attention. But the fact is, they say immigrant or migrant, they do sort of try to avoid using the word asylum seeker. So yeah, that's two cases what I've seen this year. I think within a month of each other. Obviously the crimes were committed last year. The first case from Leicester, where the young man was virtually let off, and I do not believe that guy will be going back to the Sudan. It just will not happen. We've got this case here, which again went under the radar. If you look at the shares from the Daily Mail, which usually goes into the thousands sometimes, or well into the hundreds, you've got 43 shares, which is not a lot, is it, when you think about it? So I do find it, like I said, it's a little bit strange. How they've reported this particular story. So, like I said, thanks again for your continued support. Please leave a comment, see if you think what I think as well. There's a little bit more to this, especially the second story. And again, you've got to question why this individual was still allowed to be in this country. What I mean by, after serving a 12-week sentence, why wasn't he deported then? Why didn't he want to leave the UK then? Why didn't he tell the authorities then that he wanted to leave. So what we're saying is eventually he could have killed somebody, before he said, "Oh yeah, I want to leave the UK." It's like I said, it's just, for me, it's just total nonsense. Again, thanks everybody. Take care. God bless.